What's up guys, my name is Sean, and today we're going to take a look at my favorite loot frame. There are a few, but this since day one of Warframe has been my favorite loot frame. It's Nekros. So we're quickly gonna be going over the main things that make him interesting, especially my favorite ability, how Desecrate just works and how you're just double looting, quadruple looting everything. And I quickly just want to take you through his abilities since they matter a little bit, and then we'll just look at a very easy zero Forma build that anybody can use if you just have his augment mod, and then we'll do a little bit more further into the game build. We maybe can look at a middle ground, but he's easy to acquire and he is super amazing. It doesn't matter a lot if you have the Nekros Prime version or the normal Nekros version. It differs a little bit in health pool and armor pool, but you can totally do all of this with the normal Nekros version. I'm using Nekros Prime here. Let's get into his abilities. First ability is the slot you want to use if you want to subsume anything in here. So if you're getting rid of one of these four abilities, it's Soul Punch. 100% it's Soul Punch. Get rid of that. So it's ragdolling somebody away. Has a base range of 50 meters. Really interesting thing here, you can put an augment mod on him called Soul Survivor, and you can revive a downed ally. And here's the cool thing, it uses the range from your build. So it starts off at a base 50 meters. If you put all the right mods on him, you can res somebody from 140 meters away. It's kind of a fun thing, because I love troll builds. I love anything that's kind of out of the normal meta. So that's something amazing you can use just to have fun, to play with your friends who are low levels, and you just res them across the map whenever they get into anything. I know you get like 6 revives in this game, and nobody's dying in a 5-minute mission 6 times, but it's kind of fun. I definitely recommend checking that out. And then let's get into his second ability. His second ability, this is probably the second best, most interesting armor strip in the game, in my opinion. It's called Terrify. It just range-based 360 armor strip. It also comes with an augment mod, which slows enemies to a max of 60%, which can be interesting. But for these builds, for the build we'll be using, you will not need this. Technically, if you're running this on as a subsume, because if you subsume Nekros, this is what you get. You get Terrify. If you put this on another Warframe, you might want to think about, especially when you're trying to gauge headshots, about them running away, because they will turn away from you. It has a base range of 15, but it scales with your range pretty well. It has an base armor reduction. But the only thing to max armor strip, you need, without corrosive projection, you need 173, and with corrosive projection, you need 137. So that's pretty easily obtainable. Or you just, like I did, you just put some red shards on him. 3 red shards do the charm if you're not modding his base strength, and you're just automatically armor stripping on any build you do. His third ability, this is his one-trick pony. This is Desecrate. That's like the main thing for Nekros. And what it does, as you see in the description here, it forces fallen enemies around you to drop additional loot. This does not work like Hydron's loot ability or Core's loot ability, because this re-rolls the entire loot pool. This just means that you loot an enemy once, the game, if you're in the 25-meter base range, it will auto-desecrate an enemy, meaning you will automatically re-roll the loot pool. On certain enemies that have like 100% chance to drop Axiom or 100% chance to drop Endo, they will always drop that. So just to keep that in mind, it's not like you're getting bonus of anything. It does stack with most loot abilities. What you could also do is put Gaze into a subsume slot and then put the loot mod on there, and it will affect that too. But honestly, pair this with Hakora, because enemies get cut up in her Strangle Dome, and then the enemies are looted quadruply. So that means they're getting looted by Korra twice, and they're getting looted by you twice, because each body part you cut up with slash gets looted extra. Desecrate has a bunch of stuff with it. This is just the main thing. I know this gets boring explaining abilities. Everybody just skips to the end of the video. Just try to see the build, how it looks, what you got to put in there, and then figure out the game. But this is just what to keep in mind. You can run Ripkas on him, which has a special mod that automatically applies body parts getting slashed. But if you have enough slash and almost no cold effects, because cold effects stop slash, if you have enough slash in your build, you automatically will slashes, or pair it with a Korra. Just get into a corner, have Korra put down her Strangledorm with decent range, and then just go ham. Most important thing for any build, you can play this because Desecrate scales Desecrate takes energy. Most important thing is the Archon mod Despoil, and what happens, it no longer consumes energy, it now consumes health. This scales amazingly with his passive, which is restore 5 health with every enemy death within 10 meters. Not just you, also your companion, and then you have also additional range scaling. So you can see it's kind of an old passive. This character is really old. Just considering it's like, let's say this character is like 20 Conquerors old. Yeah. So getting into his fourth ability, Shadow of the Dead. This summons shadow versions of enemies you just killed. Not every enemy is in here. It's mainly the ground units. Eximus get affected too. And honestly, this ability is pretty underwhelming. For me, I use it for one main reason, but everything else is kind of useless. This stuff, do not put, you'll see in some builds from the Augment mod, do not put Summoner's Wrath on Nekros. These guys, like maybe in low levels, but at any SteelPath levels, your shadows do not deal damage. You can put that on there. You can put Arcanes on there, which buff summon damage. You can figure out anything to max out summon damage. It will not do shit. It will not do anything. So the main thing I recommend using this for is for knockback resistance, because if you have all shadows up, you have knockback resistance. If you have 7 shadows up, and for staying invincible, you have about a 90% damage reduction. If you have his Augment mod with you, Shield of Shadows, Shadows of the Dead Augment mod, each shadow within 50 meters takes 6% of damage done to Nekros in his stead. That's written really weird. Who wrote that? In his stead? I've never heard that phrasing. But yeah, if you sum up the damage reduction here, it's about 8% with my additional strength from this build. But it's about 90% damage reduction if we look at the main build. Look at the main build. It's about 90% damage reduction, give or take. So off to the fun stuff. I have 2 builds prepared here. We're gonna do what everybody wants to see first, is the insane build, and then we're gonna look at a zero Forma build. You just got Nekros, you want to figure stuff out, you want to loot because you're early in the game. That's going to be the most interesting thing for Nekros. I don't think a lot of pro players, a lot of Warframe veterans will be playing Nekros for loot or Korra for loot, because we have everything. It doesn't matter about our helmet resources. We have everything, and we can use the helmet unlimited. So that's not really an issue. If we look into this, I've had this build for probably 2 years up. That's why I really want, 3 or 4 years maybe. But I really wanted to make a video about this because it's insane. I feel like I've pulled out the maximum what I can do with this build. So let's take a quick look. This build has the main subsume Gloom. If you want to, I know it's a bit of a grinding, but for me, it is number 1 on Nekros. Subsume Sevagoth. Put Sevagoth on here. It is essential. So, With corrosive projection, like I said, you only need 137 strength to fully armor strip, and that's where Terrify comes in. The two main things I'll show you on the zero Forma build here. The two main things you need is Despoil and Equilibrium. They scale off each other because Despoil gives you health orbs, and you'll pick that up, and you get, like Equilibrium says, health pickups give you plus 110 energy. Energy pickups gives you 110 health, and it just stacks and stacks and stacks and plays off each other. The other interesting thing is Gloom. You summon your Radial Pulse, which is always active. If I'm playing this on decent range, it's almost max range. I'm playing this on 265 range. So it means you have a huge range of this active. You're draining a bit of energy, but you're always getting energy and then filling up lifesteal. So that means while you have enemies near you, you're gaining health, but you're using health to desecrate enemies, so you're always getting energy back through the orbs you get. So these play off each other. None of these, neither Gloom nor Desecrate, will scale with the augment, where you get bonus health, so it's kind of sad. What I put on here as augments, I put on double strength, but it doesn't really matter. You don't need tons of extra strength here. You can put anything you want on here. You can put Arcane Energize on here for all I care. You want Shield of Shadows, like I said, extra bonus. I just maxed out range on him and made sure I get to the 140 strength. So this build is amazing. The weapons I use for this, I usually have a Zaw on him. It's not the coolest Zaw. Like, I know there are better Zaw builds. This is just the one I use. I could have a max melee duplicate that would make do even more damage. This Zaw build isn't perfect. Don't criticize me. Because the main thing you want is a melee weapon that has a lot of range. Zaw it's just so fun to play for me. It's just my favorite thing. I know there are better Zaws. This is just the one I came up with. You can also use the Cronin Prime, which synergizes really good with Nekros here. And buy it from Byro right now this weekend. Primed Reach is out. You can get it. It's important. For any melee use on Nekros, you need Primed Reach because of the Desecrate range. So you want to be killing enemies in a big range to desecrate them fast. You need your health back. For my secondary, we're going Kuva Nukor, has good range. It's a good primer. We get the stuff done. Also, not the perfect build. It's just the one I like here. You don't have to copy any of my weapon builds. I do not know what I'm talking about when it comes to... I'm joking. When it comes to weapons. But when it comes to the Nekros build, that thing is spot on. For my Fenmore, this is the build. Also, nothing special. I usually use the Fenmore or the Brahma because you have no knockback. And when you're using the Brahma, this thing hits like a truck. A truck, I tell you. So we're going to get into a clip where I'm also Brahmaing people here. But that's just the main thing. For Archon Shards, let's quickly go to the Archon Shard window. For Archon Shards, like I said, about 3 red shards on here just to have him reach that 137 for the full strip. And it kind of depends how you play. If you're playing zero Forma, you really want him to have enough health. I have a health shard and armor shard on here. Doesn't matter too much. You can put I'd recommend at some point, if you're kind of worried about cooldowns and you die a lot and you die like in the middle, put a casting speed on him, especially if you're using Shield of Shadows a lot, because that ability takes forever to put out. Use a casting speed shard. Maybe put a blue max health shard on him. And if you're really, really worried, if you don't have equilibrium, you can think about keep it Despoil, but put 2 blue shards on him, 2 Tau Forged, because you'll get 15 health regeneration per second, which helps a lot. It helps a lot, but make sure you get the equilibrium mod. It's not hard. It's not hard to get. and try to max it out. For the 0 Forma build, do not look at the 8 Forma output in the sky. Don't look at it. So, for the 0 Forma build, you just got Nekros. If you can subsume anything into Soul Punch, if you have the Helminth unlocked, subsume anything into this. It does help. There's a few, you can just try out some different stuff. I usually recommend Gloom. There's a few builds popping over with Nourish if you have Grendel unlocked, but subsume anything on here. Or even Orgaze. Do Orgaze and the mod for Atlas. It's kind of fun too. You also get extra loot from that. So, main thing you always need to run is Despoil and Equilibrium. They synergize each other. And you can put Corrosive Projection on here. But honestly, if you have them brand new, put Rejuvenation on here. You can run Energy Siphon, but I wouldn't recommend it. I'd put Rejuvenation on here. Other bonus mods for here is everything that gives you maybe some extra, little bit of extra strength. You don't need a ton. It just depends if you're red sharding it or not. If not, just put an Intensify on here, so you get a little bit of extra strength. And then with 175, you're fully armor stripping with Terrify. For range, you might want to do Stretch and Augur Reach, or you just do, why am I doing it like this? I'll just do it like this. Or you do, where do we have Overextended? But then you always have to play a little bit with the ability range. Sometimes this works. You got to be careful. If you're running max range, you'll run into the issue that anything in your vicinity gets desecrated and you're losing health fast. I always recommend putting something like, especially once you get good health regeneration, putting something that gives you a lot of health on here, something like Umbral Vitality or just a normal maxed out Vitality. Does the trick. They scale off each other, so I usually put Umbral Intensify with Umbral Vitality, or even the other Fiber mod on here, just for a little bit of better survivability. Let's hop in here real quick and take a look at the 0 Forma build. This is pre-recorded and I'm just gonna voice over like the main parts. So you want to be activating your Desecrate right at the start, and then as soon as you activate Desecrate, to not get overwhelmed by the enemies, use a Terrify. Everybody will be running away from you, especially when you're using a melee build. You can quickly hop in there. Once your energy is returned, you just hop on your Shield of Shadows. You can always start off with your... I'm not running Shield of Shadows here, but I just have my Shadow Army up. But you can always put your Shadow Army up first, or Terrify first, that you're not too overwhelmed by the enemies. Make sure to not have... And if you're watching the top right corner, if you don't have a high return back to health, if you're using the Despoil, make sure you don't have a huge range. If you max your range, you'll die instantly. Even here, I'm really close with getting my health back up if you're watching the top right. This is where it gets interesting. We're running Gloom and Desecrate together here on this build. You can do any, like I said earlier, any primary, any secondary. You see here, putting up Shield of Shadows takes time, so you get a casting shard on there. But the nice thing is, any enemy affected by Gloom gets desecrated. They drop health orb. Through the Equilibrium, they drop energy orbs. You have infinite health and energy. I'm running this guy on 265 range. That's almost maximum. And it desecrates everything. And how, compared to the 0 Forma build, if you look at the top right, I'm not losing any health. Like, there's stuff dying left and right here. Kinda, it's not crazy. There's a little bit of stuff dying here. But I'm not losing health. Like, I'm totally chilling. My team can kill enemies. Anybody can kill. My Gloom radius is about 50 meters, which is insane. It's like to the other side of this huge room. It will reach. Like, it will reach that survival beacon. It's easy. And you can even use Terrify, because anytime you use Terrify, the enemies, they don't run away because they get stuck in through Gloom. So it's perfect. It works both ways. And for any survivability if you do need it. If you're running against a tons of Eximus, if you're running against the Stalker, you have other, like the Hulvania tank, you have other huge enemies that do tons of damage. You can just pop your Shield of Shadows, gives you like 95% damage reduction, and it gives you knockback resistance, and you're just cruising. You see here on the bottom, every second I'm getting health and energy. To sum up, guys, Nekros is not perfect. He's an amazing Warframe. He fills that niche very well for being a loot frame you can just walk around with. Any other loot frame in Warframe, especially Korra and Hydron, they have a little bit of niches, and they have kind of these obstacles just through the spacing they have to revolve around, especially with Korra's Pilfering Strangledome. Enemies have to be within that dome to actually be looted. Here it's like, just walk around, have it active all the time. You have a perfect build going, you don't even have to think about it. And he also synergizes perfectly if you have a really good kit going. He's invincible, he does full armor strip, and he loots. It's my favorite loot frame. He also looks amazing. Maybe throughout this video, if you've noticed, I kind of try to make him look like the Stalker, just with the pattern. There's of course tons of other skins you can put him on, but I just really like this. It's really simple. So guys, that's going to be concluding the video. I'm really looking forward to making more content, especially Warframe, Destiny 2 related. If you guys got anything you want to see me approve upon, do let me know in the comments. I really want to do a good job, provide a nice, informed experience for you guys, especially when it comes to some of these nuances when the content. So do let me know if there's anything to approve upon in the comments, if it's audio, video quality, anything. I really appreciate that, and that's about it, guys.